Sal. Oxford defines entrepreneur as a person who organizes and operates a business or businesses, taking on greater than normal financial risk in order to do so. You started your first business selling skate wax, and now you run Shout Me Out marketing agency that have worked with everything from small startups to publicly traded companies. For someone who has began the journey of entrepreneurship at an early age, do you think you are creative?
That's a pretty loaded question. I think I have creative tendencies. I try to maximize my time with as much creative things as possible. More lately, I've been making silly videos to post on the internet that talk about marketing nerdiness.
It's like memes.
Oh yeah, I do be making memes from time to time. I do be making memes. I think in my I think on LinkedIn, my official title is head meme officer or chief meme officer, something like that.
Did you do that yourself, or did you
earn
that title?
No, I assigned that to myself.
There you go.
I didn't. I mean, I think you technically earn it at some point, But no, I assigned it to
Well, that's what
myself.
the people were saying on the streets, that you are the meme king.
I don't know if I'm the meme king. There's some great memers. You ever seen the Slim Jim account?
Yeah, dude. Like, is that? Do you think is that one person, or is that just like a small group of Slim Jimmers that kind of talk with amongst each other?
It's one person.
I figured it must have
It's
been.
one person. I don't know if it's one person that runs Instagram or one person that runs Twitter, but I'm pretty sure it's one person. They probably are backed by a team of people. I think that's what makes the most sense. I saw a post from them recently, from the person that runs their account. They made a post. I think they made a post on Twitter telling McDonald's that they need to bring the snack wrap back. And then the person from McDonald's responded and was like, I just run the Twitter, man. Like, I can't bring back the snack wrap.
The fast food just social media presence, because remember Wendy's with the rap album?
I don't remember a rap album for
Dude,
Wendy's.
yeah, Wendy's had like a whole diss track album. I'm like 90% sure it was Wendy's and somebody else that just came up with a bunch of original music.
That doesn't shock me. It's a genius.
Yeah, it's
I
brilliant.
mean, the whole idea is that if you can make people talk about you, you're winning.
Yeah.
That's it. It does. I shouldn't say it doesn't matter what context. There's some people that I guess we could talk about. I'm taking my jacket off. Hold on. Okay, I got warm.
It's getting steamy.
I got warm.
Even though that jacket is pretty fresh.
Shout out. Order yours now at www.smo.marketing
Shout me out.
/jacket. That's not real. Don't go there. What were we talking about?
Do you think you're creative?
Oh shoot, man! I don't know. I don't think so. But I don't know. I think it's seriously. I think being creative is a loaded question, because I think everybody's creative in their own right. Everybody has a different set of skills and a different brain for different things, and so I think it all just depends. It all just depends on what you find creative as a person.
Because you're kind of talking about having creative tendencies. Is that more of like the urge to physically build something? Kind of, because I mean, just from our relationship of like what I've known you from just growing up in this town. I mean, we're selling skate wax like in middle school, because kind of being a part of like the Jupiter skate culture.
Yeah. Very good point. Yeah. When I was like 13, 14 years old, I started making skate wax because I've always had, I wouldn't say creative tendencies, but I've always had like entrepreneurial tendencies. Because when I think creative, I think art and drawing and filmmaking. And I would create things, but I was never like overtly outside the box creative. I was always kind of doing things that were like borderline creative. But yeah, when I was like 13, 14, I would make skate wax and sell it at the local skate parks. I would buy paraffin canning wax from Publix for like $6.12 for 4 bars. And I would melt that down in a pot in my mom's kitchen, and I would melt crayons into it, and I would pour it into little skate wax molds.
What led to even that point where you just like, because obviously you grew up around just people skateboarding, you probably skated yourself, and then did you just see the need? You're like, oh, I can do this, or did you just want to be that business sort of person?
Good question. I was never. Okay, so when I skated, I was never like the best skater. I wasn't like a crazy good skater.
Neither was I.
I wasn't like a crazy good skater, but I grew up around skate culture from the time that I was like a kid, and I just knew that I wanted to be involved in skateboarding in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And so I became the friend that like filmed. I became the friend that would like go to the skate park all the time with a camera. And it started with like a little handy cam
Mm-hmm.
that like took DVDs or something, that like mini DVDs. That was like my dad's. And I would just go to the skate park and like film skateboarding with like a little fisheye lens, and then like slowly upgraded my like my little setup. But I was always I was the kid like in, you know, elementary school, like selling bracelets at school, or like you know, the cliche lemonade stand. Like I
Right.
remember I lived in a gated neighborhood as a kid, like way back in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
In this like rural farm random neighborhood. And I just like one day decided that I was going to post up by my mailbox with lemonade. I made my mom get me pizza, and I sold Oreos, Chips Ahoy, and I don't know, a couple other things like from this little stand
Yeah.
in my neighborhood. And I was probably like 10. So I've always been entrepreneurial, I guess. And yeah, I just wanted to, I don't know, I think I just wanted to like make a business.
Yeah.
When I like from the time that I was young, I have always just enjoyed making businesses and being like behind the branding and behind just like, I don't know, making a business. I don't know any other way to describe it.
What excited you kind of about that? Because I remember kind of my first official business, I guess, sort of thing. I mean, or when I started making money myself at like an early age, I think it was like 11 years old when my dad bought a lawnmower, and he's like, congratulations, now you have to mow the lawn.
Now you have a
but then he
business.
even told me, he's just like, hey, why don't you just knock on every neighbor's door and just try to pitch it to them? And I'm like, okay. So like I just typed up something really dumb, took clip art from like Microsoft Word, made something, knocked on everybody, put it in the mailbox, and I got a couple calls, and that was really it. But I mean, it was more of just kind of the motivation of just going out and just doing something independent, I guess. So did you kind of feel that way?
I did, yeah. Like I always wanted to be like independent, and when I was growing up, my mom was an entrepreneur from like the time that I was born. She had her own. She had like a consulting business, and she was responsible for like getting products into like she was a manufacturer's rep. I don't know why it couldn't come to me. She was basically the person in between getting a product to a buyer at
Right.
like a retail store. But she owned her own business from the time that she was like, I think 17 years old. She was always owned
wow.
a business. And so I grew up seeing my mom owning her own business. And I think that kind of is what planted the seed.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the skate wax business, I, at the time, like I ended up being in around 16 skate shops, like nationwide.
Oh, snap.
Yeah. And I had like a couple pro riders and people who weren't pro riders but then became like pro skaters,
Yeah,
which I thought
yeah.
was cool, that were like on my
That you were
skate wax
using your
team.
product?
Yeah, they were like
Oh
on
my
my skate
God.
wax team. And I think that just kind of gave me like the itch of like, it felt cool being the person that could make a product that people like cared about, and they had your stickers on their board,
Yeah.
and they had like the stickers on their helmet or like whatever it was. And I just always thought that was cool.
Was the biggest thing about like skate culture that I've always thought was just so cool. I mean, even just seeing like the Tony Hawk Pro Skater games, and even like seeing like Tony Hawk Underground when they would do all like these missions, but then be like in like just these cliques and these tribes and stuff. But then everything that encompasses that between just like the branding and them being a part of this team and that team. Because I never really cared for sports growing up.
Yeah.
a little bit, and I don't know. That's why I kind of gravitated towards that. And I guess there was more. I mean, a deeper meaning, a little bit more self-expression, a little bit too, because they kind of
sure.
wear what you want, sort of thing. But I mean, everything also, as we fast forward to now, followed branding and certain guidelines to represent a company.
Yeah, it's you touched on something there about skateboarding and like the individual tribes. Skateboarding is one of those things where it's like if you start skateboarding at an early age, it sticks with you forever.
I couldn't agree more to that.
Like
yeah.
all of my friends that I grew up with were from skating. I played baseball as a kid. I don't know anybody from baseball.
Yeah.
And I was around the same age, but I know every single person that I went to the skate park with, because I would go Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. every day. And then on Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. if my parents would drop me off at 9 a.m.
Do you remember bike night?
Yeah, when Tuesdays and
Yeah, it was
Thursdays.
Tuesdays,
and
yeah,
I think Wednesdays are now scooter night.
Oh my god.
Yeah. R.I.P. Yeah, I think Wednesday nights are scooter nights, or Tuesday. One of them is scooter nights now, which is sad.
It's sad, but it's also so crazy seeing someone do like a triple backflip on a Razor scooter. Oh, it's nuts.
They be on some crazy stuff on those scooters.
Freaking crazy. But much did that business grow? So the fact that you had your product not only in other shops, but it sounded like your product was kind of making some moves, and then the brand itself was growing.
I mean,
A little bit, of course, being like
this was like pre-internet. Like I think there's still an Instagram account for it, Endless Grind Skate Wax, if you want to like look it up. There's still an Instagram for it, but I was never like actively selling it online or like doing anything like that. I was getting my product in the stores by having my parents drive me to every skate shop that I could possibly get to, like within a reasonable radius. And I would just go in there and I'd be like, "Hi, my name's Sal. This is my skate wax brand." And then I have like a sales sheet that my mom like showed me how to make.
That's so cool.
And so it was like, it was retail for $3 a dozen. Or no, I'm sorry, $3 per, and you had to buy a minimum order quantity of a dozen. I learned minimum order quantity at like 14 years old, and I would sell them a dozen bars of skate wax for I think $1.50 or $2 a piece.
And none of that math sort of confused you. I mean, it's pretty basic math, of course, but I'm like none of that kind of was a little bit too much, or did you feel like it all kind of clicked right away?
Sense.
Yeah,
it was costing me like 50 cents. I like learned because my mom was always in business,
right.
When I started doing it and I started showing signs of like, oh, I want to be entrepreneurial instead of it being like just stick to school or just, like those stories that you hear.
Yeah.
My mom and dad were like, I'm all for it. Like, let's do this.
That's awesome.
And so they kind of like gave me the advice of like, okay, well, you're buying it from, Publix. Like, how much is it if you buy it in a case instead of buying it per box? And so I was able to get it for like $3.17 per box instead of like whatever, $4 or $6, or like I was able to get a better deal. And it started making sense. Like if you have a business, you need to have a product that costs you,
looking at the product, really thinking about how to streamline that process so well, then also just becoming like a salesperson too. Fearlessly walking in. Cause I think about that, like from when I was booking gigs when I was like 16, 17,
Crazy.
And I always thought like the importance of like putting the face to the name too. And then also just being raised of shaking somebody's hand, making that eye contact. But it's funny because fast forward now, I'm like, sometimes I get even more nervous too walking into the room, and I'm like, where's the fearless, like just naiveness of being a kid and just walking in? You'd be like, hey.
I wish I could go back to that. Cause I was like, I used to do like all of the fundraisers in school. I was like a top seller in the fundraiser, like somewhere you could pop it up. I could probably find it. I have a picture of me like in a limo leaving elementary school because I was like second place for the fundraiser sales in the school. And they took me and like 3 other people to Cece's Pizza because like, so I've just always been into like selling things, flipping things like that. It was always in my DNA. Like as long as I can remember, I've been doing something to like make a product and sell it and so like when I was doing the skate wax, I didn't really have like, I knew that I wanted to have a business. And so I just would make things and sell. Like I just needed I needed an outlet. I wasn't really a creative person. So I wasn't, other kids were like drawing or like going and playing sports, which I feel like is, somewhat creative or like whatever. But like, I just wasn't doing the typical like kid things ever. I was always doing like, I don't know. I just wanted to like sell things. And it wasn't even like about the money. It was just about like making something and selling it. I was like, oh, that's cool. And so the skate wax, I was in, I think it was around like 16 stores, and all the ones that were local were from me, like you said, fearless 14-year-old, whatever, walking in, selling them the skate wax and like just pitching them on the product. Or I still have mailers somewhere where like I would send out sample packs to different skate shops and different things around the
so you're doing sample packs too, and really
my mom
developing that
taught me
relationship.
I have somewhere I have like a complete sample pack that got returned. It's the bar of skate wax that I got shrink wrapped.
Yeah.
That was shrink wrapped with a sticker in it. And then it was a little note that said like, "Hi, my name's Sal Rosenblatt. This is my skate wax brand, Endless Grind." Like whatever.
That's a killer name, by the way, too. Endless Grind for skate wax. That's pretty smart.
You know who came up with it?
Devin?
Mustafa.
Oh!
Mustafa, Zion's dad. He came up with it in his garage where we were like little kids in his mythical garage. So
that's a killer name though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He originally wanted to call it KIM, keep it moving.
That's pretty good.
That's a good one too, right? Mustafa's smart. Mustafa knows his stuff. But yeah, the skate wax stuff was cool. And then I when I went to summer camp, which was like a skateboarding summer camp, I would like introduce it to the people there. You weren't even allowed to use skate wax, but I brought a lot of it like in a bag, and I would like find people and like introduce it to them. And like it's funny too because I had a meeting recently with the founder of that camp.
Oh yeah.
And I was telling him this story. And
Were you telling him you're sneaking it in?
Yeah,
and stuff?
yeah. It's just really funny to like have it come full circle. Shout out Camp Woodward. And I met like Carl Watson, who's like a pro skater for Organica and LRG and like a couple other big companies. He's like very instrumental in skateboard culture. And I convinced him to be a pro rider on my like skate wax company, and he was like totally down, and he gave me his address to like send him product out. And like,
how old were you? Were you 16, 17?
No, I was like 15.
Oh my God.
14. I was still going to summer camp. So I think I stopped going to summer camp when I got my license.
Yeah.
So like when I was I think the last year I went was like when I was 15 or something.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like a kid. I was just like a random kid, and he was like, yeah, he was so on board. And he introduced it to like a couple other people, like Tafari.
Was your product like premium and really good, or was it just kind of wax? I don't know. Was there some sort of separation factor, or was it more of just like the brand and the legitimacy of what you were just doing?
I really think people just bought it because they were like, oh, this kid's doing something.
Yeah.
Let me just buy it. Like, I honestly think that's why. There was nothing proprietary. It was paraffin canning wax. So the stuff that you'd use to like can things, that you'd pour hot wax on top of like your jams or jellies. So it would stay, fresh when you canned it. And like a little piece of a crayon and like some scent. And I used to tell people I put some like proprietary ingredients in it, but there was nothing there. It was just like candle scent that I ordered off like eBay or some shit. And
how much time would you put into like making the wax and everything just all the time?
When I like my friends would come over and they like started making skate wax with me, and we would like figure out different molds that we could make, and I would buy like ice tray molds and like come up with like a diamond shaped one, or like I made a beer bottle shaped one that everybody loved, or I learned how to make like different layered ones. I just had fun doing it. So like I'd get home from school, I'd go to the garage where like my mom set out, or like my mom helped me like set out like a little spot. And I had a burner out there, like a single like burner with just like a pot from the kitchen and like a bunch of wax stacked up and like a thing of crayons and like the different scents. And then I got stickers made. And then for some reason my mom had like this really old school shrink wrap machine that was just always in her garage. And I was like, oh, cool, I could shrink wrap these. Like, I have a thing. And so I learned how to shrink wrap them because it was just a super simple machine. It was like just a wire, and you just like rolled this, clear stuff through, slid them in, cut it, and then just like.
So just blindly kind of just blindly doing
entirely,
the work, doing the work, and then fast forward a little bit, you have a pro rider that's willing to kind of join your team.
Yeah.
And then kind of where does it go from there? Did you kind of sign any more riders, or it just kind of fizzled out a little bit? Yeah.
And I wasn't like, it wasn't really I like was so like jumping onto different things. So like I did that for, I don't know, a couple years. And then I started a clothing company called Lewis and Clark Apparel. So like the skate wax kind of just like fizzled out. I stopped caring so much about it. It was like, I'd never had a bank account. I never had it wasn't like a business.
Right.
It was like, I didn't have a corporation or an LLC or anything like that. Like I was just some kid making skate wax, selling.
Yeah. It's just like me mowing lawns for my neighbors. And they're giving me a couple bucks and
$20, $10, go get some bubble gum, kid. Yeah. Like don't spend it all in one place. Here's $3, And so I moved into making clothing because that's where I kind of I enjoyed making, I don't know, I just enjoyed making clothing and like designing clothing and like doing that kind of stuff. And I started out so I had a clothing company called Lewis and Clark Apparel from when I was like, I don't know, I think 16.
Why that name?
A friend that I met when I was at Camp Woodward, Morgan Sweeney. I don't know why my brain blanked for a second. I met a gentleman named Morgan Sweeney, and him and I was an intern at Camp Woodward because I had just turned 15.
Okay.
And they allowed me to be an intern for like filming for like their film.
Oh, dope.
Filming skateboarding. And I cried when they gave me that internship. I was like so stoked.
So stoked.
There's something, Woodward itself was like a whole life-changing experience. And I think a lot of people can attest to that. But I I was in the Woodward like studio that they had. They had like a big, beautiful studio that they just put in. And I was like talking to my friend Morgan, and they had like, because they would teach photographers, and they would do like photography lessons there. And me and him dressed up as like, I think we were dressed up as Indians. I don't know, like there's a picture of it somewhere.
Okay.
I was Lewis and Clark, and he was Sacagawea or something like that. Like
Yeah.
it was some sort of like dynamic. And we joked, and we were like, we should start a clothing company called Lewis and Clark Apparel. And then we like kept in contact, but never ended up doing it. And I was like, hey, I'm just going to let you know, like, I'm going to start this clothing company called Lewis and Clark Apparel. And then that's where the name come from. And it was nothing other than just like a conversation with this guy.
That just kind of just resonated and stuck with you. And then you're just like, oh, well, figured out the name.
Yeah. And so with Lewis and Clark, it was the same type of thing. I wasn't sending out samples as much, but I was still working with like the local skate shops. And so I would use, to kind of go back, what was the first shirt that I made? I wanted to make pocket tees. So that was like my first.
Oh, dude,
thing.
a nice frocket.
Oddly
front
enough,
pocket.
this is a Lewis and Clark blank shirt that I just had like laying around. Oddly enough.
Oh, dude, that's a nice tag.
Yeah. So I didn't have tags at first, but oddly enough, this is a Lewis and Clark blank shirt that I got an SMO embroidered on. Anyways, weird timing. But no, I wanted to make like, I thought pocket shirts, like pocket t-shirts were really cool because it was cheaper than, I think I saw like a tutorial on YouTube on how to make them.
And you're talking like the frocket, the front pocket.
The little front pocket.
Yeah.
And I would just get like a blank shirt, and then I'd put like some sort of designed pocket. And so I knew I wanted to make pocket shirts, and I was like, I don't know how to talk to, I don't know who to make these, like who makes these things. And so I ended up just like probably watching a tutorial on YouTube. I learned how to make like a little stencil so I could cut the pockets, and then I would cut the pockets, and then I remember I looked up on Facebook to try to find a seamstress to make them because I didn't know how to sew. My mom tried to help me sew them. I got my high school TV pro teacher to help me sew them. She loved me, Miss Kane. Shout out Miss Kane. And she took shirts home and helped me sew them. And and then I ended up finding, totally by random, my mom was like helping one of her friends sell like oil contracts for like his auto repair shop. Like, totally random. Like, her friend had an auto repair shop. He was like, I'm low on business. I need help. My mom, being the savvy saleswoman that she was like, you should make an oil contract program where they can come to you, and, sell oil or buy, an oil change and not have to pay for it or whatever. And she went to some random tailor on 45th and Military or something like that, or Palm Beach Lakes and Military, like totally random spot. And she was like, hey, do you think you could sew pockets onto shirts? And he was like, oh yes, of course I could do that, And I just ended up, my mom took a batch of shirts up there for me, and I got them sewed, and they were like, someone here? I got them sewed, and they were perfect. They were just like the most beautiful shirts ever. And so nice. I had a guy to make me like shirts. And so I found labels, and he would sew in. He sewed this label in. This dude, this one guy.
I was going to say that looks surprisingly.
This one guy did
super nice.
All of it. Like, he sewed all of it in. And so he would do like my cut and sew stuff. And it was a guy that used to make. He worked in like a clothing factory in Canada, and he moved to Florida and opened up like a tailor shop, like in the middle of a totally random spot, like in the middle of a random shopping plaza. Was not getting a lot of business, and like I just happened to come in, and he would charge me like $4 a shirt. And so I would bring him the pockets that I cut out and be like, here you go, I want these. And he would like sew them on, and then I'd come pick them up a couple weeks later. And then, I just would find like local skate shops that wanted to carry it, like 561 or Modern Culture or Locals. I think Groundswell carried them at one point. Shred Shed, like just random local skate shops would, take them on consignment.
Or Maverick.
Of course I remember Maverick. Maverick Skate Shop. That's where I bought my first like real skateboard. I bought a BAM.
Viva La Bam.
No. I think that was from Ocean Magic. I bought a Viva La Bam heartogram deck, like the purple one, complete. But the clothing company was like cool, and that's what kind of got me my early knowledge of like how to sell on the internet.
Okay.
Because my friend Bailey at the time had this like big fishing page when we were in high school, and he said to me, he was like, oh, you have this, clothing business, and I have like a fishing page. And we were like still in high school. He's like, you have a clothing business, I have a fishing page. We should make a collab and sell them through the page.
What year was that?
2015.
So was he using Instagram
Yep.
mainly to do his leverage?
Yep.
All right.
Yep. Bailey's who introduced me into like the whole world of social media
Okay.
early on. And so I straight up said to him, I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. I don't want a bunch of rednecks wearing my shirts. That's exactly what I said. Like he'll quote it to this day. And we just like kept talking about it. And then we just like, became more and more friends.
Yeah.
And then one day we were like, all right, let's do it. And so we made like a bass pocket tee, which I'm pretty sure right there, I have like a bag of old Lewis and Clark shirts. I think I have one in there.
Oh, damn.
Oddly enough. I just like collected it over the years, like all the old merch.
Dude,
just never did
they're
anything with
freaking,
it.
they're collectors at this point. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we made a collab shirt or two collab shirts. One had like fishing lures and one had like bass jumping.
So these designs for the shirts, were you coming up with these, or were you working with
No.
local artists, or?
I was coming up with all of them.
Oh, so you design all kinds of
Every single t-shirt that came through that door, I designed every single one. I designed the label. I designed all of the pockets. I designed all of the, what kind of shirt it was.
At any time, did you kind of feel like, I'm not an artist or designer, this, or were you just like, this needs to be done and I'm the one to do it?
That's it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was really just that. It wasn't, I don't remember having, at that time, I wouldn't let obstacles stand in my way. So I would, like, I knew I wanted to do this.
Yeah.
So I just figured out how.
Yeah.
And then it was like, okay, I want to do stuff that's printed. Okay, I need to learn how to do Photoshop or Illustrator or something like that. And so I would use, in high school, we had access to Photoshop and Illustrator and Final Cut Pro. Or no, Adobe Express. Not Express. Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
On the school computers. Sorry.
I was thinking, dude, I'm like, Illustrator? No.
No, so we had we had like Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere,
Yeah.
all those on the school computers in TV Pro, and I had TV Pro twice a day. I like finessed my way into getting TV Pro twice a day for like 3 years, for sophomore, junior, and high school.
Did you do that for the sake of kind of your business too, or did you because you just enjoyed the class? Or a little bit of both.
I really liked video, and after my first year of being in the class, I had a great relationship with my teacher, Miss Kane, and she basically, like, everything, I don't want to sound like, that guy, but everything that we were doing in that class, I already knew how to do. I knew how to use Premiere. I knew how to use Final Cut Pro. I knew about, white balance.
Right,
and,
right.
like, lighting and that kind of stuff. And so she, after my first like year in that class, kind of let me off a little bit easier. And so where like other kids had to do like not really intense work, but like learn more stuff, she kind of gave me that creative freedom to be like, you can go work on the computers if you want. And so I would just use that time to edit photos or edit, graphics.
And
learn
really,
how
you're
to
just
use Photoshop.
crafting and building this
Yeah.
this skill. So then now you have an opportunity to collab with somebody who's on the internet, Bailey.
100%.
And
Yeah,
then- yeah.
exactly. And so at that time, I wasn't making any printed shirts yet. But yeah, I collaborated with Bailey and we made like this line of fishing shirts and we sold them through his page. And I was like, huh, that's cool. Like he just posted these and people just bought them. And
So that was your introduction to social media, but were you like just flicking through YouTube or just kind of like a little bit like with the social media at all? Or was this kind of like your moment where you're like, oh, I see the power of social media?
No, I think I was using Vine.
Okay.
I think I was using Vine at the time. I think I was using probably Snapchat at
Yeah.
the time.
Just more for
Maybe
enjoyment
early-
and
like
just
early
connecting with
Instagram.
friends.
That's it. There
Okay.
was no other.
Yeah.
I
What
had
wasn't
no
really
other-
those that you didn't really have that moment until
No,
when
I
you
didn't
kind of
have
the
that
sales
business moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then I started understanding it. I started understanding it from a business aspect when Bailey would, Bailey made a post and people started buying. Like I actually got orders because it was like right when I made an online shop. Because up until that, it was always like selling T-shirts out of the back of my car, or like, because I was like 16, just got my license. I'd always have
hustler.
a trunk full of T-shirts. Somebody would buy them. And I started I made a website on bigcartel.com. I didn't even have a domain. I never even had lewisandclarkapparel.com. I had lewisandclarkapparel.bigcartel.com. And you could go there and it was like just a shopping platform, like no fanciness. You could just go on, buy something, check out, call it a day. And people were buying them off the site. And I was like, what the fuck? This is crazy. Like, how does this even make any sense? And that's where I started like understanding it. And then him and I were like kind of working together on this page a little bit, I guess essentially running that page. And, cause at the time it had like 100,000 followers, which was crazy in 2015. Like if you had 100,000
Dude,
followers,
that's a lot.
it was wild. And so it introduced me to, like connecting with these pages through other pages through Instagram, car pages, I don't know, like every niche.
And when you say
had a
connecting
page.
with the pages, you mean really like the integrated relationships.
Yeah, like we
with-
had a big page, they had a big page.
Yeah.
We would talk through DMs and talk about like strategy
Yeah.
or something. And then early in those days, you would get on like all of these big pages started forming Kick group chats. So we would get on Kick, which was like, do you remember Kick?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we would get on Kick and it would just be like, we'd have a group chat and there'd be like 30 million followers worth of pages in there. And we were all like homies and we were all talking every day. And like, it was this totally like random hole of the internet that I never experienced in my entire life. Like never had an online community that I flocked to, never had like anything like that. And we just had this group of people that we were doing like shout out for shout outs with. Like they would post us, we would post them.
Right.
That would grow their page, it would grow our page, and we'd be able to like funnel followers from each other. And that's how we were able to like grow the pages. But then what we were doing was we were selling advertising space on our page to people for like $30. They could post to our 100,000 followers like $50 or whatever it was. And so I was like,
When
okay.
did that click for you? Did that kind of did you have that moment where you kind of like seeing that was kind of the game with other pages too, with the big pages that they were kind of paying for?
There was like that early day where people were just, they would DM you, hey, can I buy a post on your page? And you'd be like,
Yeah.
what? And then you just be like, yeah, sure. And they just send you money. It was just like this kind of early day of social media. And we would just have these, I don't know, conversations with random brands. They would just DM us, like random like drop shipping companies and affiliates. They would just like hit us up and be like, okay, these people are getting a lot of likes and comments on their page.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can get a post from them. And then so I was like, oh, these brands are paying us money to post on this page. I'm going to try to do that. And so I would find like other pages and do, pay the $20, $30 to get a post by them. And I would literally like pay $20, $30 and then get like $120 in sales. And I was like, what?
That's crazy.
That's like, how's that possible? And so I would just like kind of do that a little bit. And then that's where I really I got into like understanding how the social media economy worked and
At that time.
at that moment.
Because dude,
how
at
the
that
attention economy
the
worked.
attention, the like restraint of just how immediate some of the action
It was
was,
immediate
because I mean
in
the
some
small
cases.
pages that I was able to grow to early on, I remember just being able to dump 30 hashtags
Yeah.
into something that was related, and then almost just like almost like a freaking jackpot lever, just bring, and then just seeing all the likes and followers kind of rolling through.
Yeah. And so that's how kind of two things came from that. Really, well, the first one was we started doing, I don't want to say that we pioneered it, but we did, kind of like we were some of the earliest adopters of it. Started doing this thing called like ad for ad instead of shout out for shout out, because other people that owned pages were also like making companies. And so we would, I guess, kind of like take a step back. We would, after I was like doing the clothing stuff, we were like, okay, we should make a brand that fits with the pages that we work with. And so we started making like little, like early days of drop shipping.
Okay.
Like I didn't even know what drop shipping was
Yeah.
until after we were already doing it.
Because that's what I was going to ask. So you collaborate to kind of grow the merchandise a little bit too. You got some sales, and then that started to kind of transition a little bit more into just professional advertising through social media.
It went from, so like I had Endless Grind. I like didn't pivot. I just kind of got bored with Endless Grind. Moved into the clothing company. Really enjoyed the clothing company. Did it for years. It was never really like a crazy business. I wasn't in that mindset. Like, again, I was 17, 18. Like I was on the mindset of like, I want to sell things.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't on the mindset of like, I'm going to build this big business organization, or I'm going to do this, X, Y, and Z. It was just kind of like, I just want to sell some stuff. Let me try to sell some stuff. And so from the clothing company, Bailey and I we started making a fishing, we were going to make a fishing drop shipping website that was going to be like a tackle warehouse type of thing. I don't even remember what it was called, but we built out this whole website and then we never ended up doing anything with it. But that like led us into, we made Blades and More, which was like a pocket knife company.
Oh.
We would like sell pocket knives online. I probably shouldn't be saying this on the internet. I don't know if I can get in trouble for any of this. but you could bleep it.
You sold beep.
Yeah. No, we made like a pocket knife company online. And we were using the ad for ad method, where like same way as like a shout out for shout out, they would post us, we would post they would post our company, we would post their company, or like some kind of ratio where like we'd post their page, they'd post our company, but for like an unequal amount of time. And
Were
then,
those deals kind of hard to negotiate with people, or was it just pretty like you scratch my back, I'll scratch
we had
yours?
this whole community of people, probably 100 plus, 200 plus pages. So I'm segueing into how I got into the marketing space. We had this big network of pages that we would just communicate through with social media. And so finding the people to buy ad space from, finding the people to, do shout out for shout out with, ad for ad, it wasn't hard because we already had the page and we were already in these communities. So we already had like direct contact to all of these, 100,000 million follower pages at the time on social media. And so that kind of led us into like, I guess like the early world of like drop shipping through, Shopify and Wix and that kind of stuff. And we would make, random products and like run it up to, some decent sales.
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, board, let's do something different. Or like, oh, pocket knives are way too risky. Like, let's move it to something different. And then we had a website called, oh, this was a good one. I'll probably get canceled for this one. This one was called redneckthings.com. Do you remember when the Confederate flag was being banned?
Yeah.
I sold Confederate flags on the internet. So that's probably a really bad clip. But in hindsight, not the best idea. But just some young kids trying to capitalize on this internet world. And we like sold a couple and like people were actually buying them. This was a day, like this was in a time where like you would post something on Instagram and people would actually go buy it.
Yeah.
Like now, if you're making a post like from an influencer on Instagram, you are getting a lot lower conversions compared to like what it was then. And so like we did that for like the stint of a couple weeks or maybe like a couple months or something. And then we pivoted into like selling light bars, like for trucks, and they were all like drop ship. We found them on AliExpress. Somebody would order them through our website. And then we would just, when they'd order from us, we'd buy it from wherever and just ship it directly to them instead of us. So there was no like real, automation or anything like how it is now. And then, so where I was segueing to is, so from those early communications for our own little brands on social media through these like kind of back end communities, that's how I got into the marketing space, because I realized we don't have a lot of money like to advertise our products or to like build a brand or like test these things. Like we're just kind of making random products.
Yeah.
And so,
but you have the relationships.
But we have the relationships. Exactly. And so what ended up happening was these companies were coming to us from our page and being like, hey, can we buy shout outs from you? Or like how much for a 12-hour post or a 1-hour post or like whatever it was. And I started to have the realization, or Bailey and I really started to have the realization of there's brands that have a lot larger budgets that are trying to learn how to use social media that don't know how to do it. And so we just started pivoting from, like at the time, nobody was running like a social media agency. It wasn't a cool thing.
Yeah, no, content wasn't even a word.
Yeah, it wasn't like a cool thing. Like now I get like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram ads. Do you run an SMMA and need help getting da 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 da? And I'm like, okay. Like, but when I started SMO, like a marketing agency or like a social marketing agencies were obviously a thing, but like a social media marketing agency was like a very niche thing.
So that's where the name Shout Me Out SMO comes from, because literally people were just asking you for shout outs half the time.
Shout Me Out marketing.
So funny.
That's where it came from.
And you're right. Speaking like internet, social media, digital age timeline, yeah, because SMO now, like I guess in colleges they teach it as like social media optimization.
Yeah,
is that that's the
it's
acronym
like a textbook
for it?
definition.
Yeah.
So like when we were starting SMO, Bailey had just met this a lovely girl named Nicole, who is now his wife, and
love it. I love hearing that shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
And she was like going to school at UF for marketing, and she like came back to us and she was like, "Have you heard of like SMO is like in the school textbooks?" And we were like, yeah, we knew that. We really didn't. And so, yeah, it just came from like people were coming to us for shout outs. People were coming to us for shout outs on our page. And instead of just saying, yeah, send us $50 for our page, I would be like, oh, I could also get you posted on this wide range of pages, because all of the people that I knew through those pages were like, we had good relationships with. So like if you were brand X and you went to this page and was like, hey, can I get a 24-hour shout out? they'd be like, sure, it's $100. But if I just texted them and was like, hey, Jared, or hey, so-and-so, can I get a shout out, for this time? They'd be like, yeah, sure, it's $50. And so I was like, okay, I can actually provide these brands a better, better pricing, or, I can provide them better pricing and the ability to reach these pages a lot easier. Instead of them having to hire somebody to go page to page to page to page to page to page to page, I already had the relationships, and I could just say to them, hey, you reached out to us for this. It would cost you $60 to get on our page, but if you want, I could post you on this list of pages, or I could post you to this many people for X amount of dollars, for $1,000 or $2,000 or whatever it was, $500, whatever kind of budgets they had. I'd be like, what's your ad budget? We can, get it on pages. And it would literally make that person's job so much easier, because it went from them sitting there all day researching pages, DMing them, emailing them, hoping to get a response.
You did the legwork for them.
All of it. So like, that's how I got into, so that's like kind of where the marketing side of it came from. And we landed our first client, which was this company called Toughline, which was like a fishing line company owned by the parent company was called Western Element. They make like I'm so fascinated by these.
Were you like into fishing at all, or is it just kind of
I
like
fishing?
Yeah,
I had always grown up fishing, but I was never I wasn't like a fisherman.
Right. Yeah.
I think I had my stints of being a fisherman, but I was never like a overtly fisherman. But the reason why we went after the fishing and outdoors and hunting and that type of community, because it was adjacent to the pages that it was adjacent to our page and the pages that we had like immediate access to. So we would go, we didn't know how to get clients outside of just, like these people that would hit us up and be like, hey, can I buy ads? And then we'd try to sell them onto a bigger thing.
Yeah.
It was like it was a good process. Like, yeah, if it could work like that now, it'd be great. Like if there was as much inbound now as there was then, like it'd be really cool. But no, we would just get a lot of inbound from these people. And so that's where we started realizing like, oh, this can go from just being like a quick little like social media hustle to a company.
Right.
And so that's when Shout Me Out was born. And we decided that we were going to, make a marketing company. Like, had no idea what it even meant. Like, it wasn't like we didn't have a business plan. We had no prior experience. None of us went to school for it. Like, we were just like, yeah, let's start a marketing company. And because it was out of necessity. That's the thing, is it wasn't the cool thing to be like, oh, what am I going to do when I get out of college? I'm going to start a marketing company because that seems cool. And like, we were just in it, and it just made sense. And so that's why when people ask like, oh, how did you get into marketing? I always be like, it was an accident. Like, I really was not planned, was not intentional, totally an accident.
It's funny. It's almost like when the time I was going to college and it was time for me to pick a major, because I was doing all the general credits to get the AA. And I was just looking around. I'm like, what? Public relations? What does that even mean? And then like I Googled it. I'm like, this is what I already do.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, might as well study that then. And I dropped out, but that's a whole other story.
Yeah. I mean, I would have gone to college, but I was already like making some money in whatever I was doing at the time.
And especially being were you like 18, 19?
Yeah, I guess I graduated at 18, so I was like 18.
And you're 18 years old making pretty like okay money.
It wasn't it was good money for 18-year-olds.
That's mainly what I'm saying. Like, I remember being 18, sitting in a college classroom, like, because I mean you're a fucking 18-year-old kid. I'm just sitting there like, I've made more money this past weekend playing music and then doing some stuff through social media than most of these people here, sort of thing. And they're trying to tell me how to market something on Facebook, when my professor was just reading something from the book. It was just really hard.
Proofread, and then 100%. And so, that's like how Shout Me Out was born. It was really just born out of necessity, because there was a need for people to get shout outs on these pages. And it was a lot of legwork to get in contact with these people. They wouldn't answer. They would, you'd send them an email, it'd go to nowhere. None of these pages really understood business. They were just like, I'm really into this. I'm going to make a page about it. And then like later it became something where they were like, oh shoot, people are buying from us.
Well, when it got to that point, did you have to take a step back and you're like, is this real? Like, am I really kind of doing this? Like, am I really like a owner of a marketing company of grown adults asking me for advice to market their business they've spent their life kind of building?
It was weird. It was really weird. So like our first,
I guess imposter syndrome, that's what everyone
yeah,
calls it.
I definitely
Yeah.
had imposter syndrome. Even still to this day, like I get it sometimes. But yeah, 100% I had imposter syndrome because I'm like an 18-year-old kid and I'm like asking these, I'm getting on these phone calls to talk about marketing and I'm like, I don't know what CPMs are or KPIs, or like they would ask me these things and I'd be like, oh yeah, like fudge it, because I had no idea. But I would, I knew that I could get them on these pages. If they paid me, I could get them on these pages and I could make the spread of the difference. And I could give them, I could run the whole campaign for them on whatever type of schedule they wanted. If you want it, this day or this time or multiple over this month or whatever it is, I could run it for them. And then I could give them a report and an update and show them like, here's how this social media marketing worked for you. And so, yeah, it was all from like inbound. It was like random brands. I think like some of our earliest, I think my first real client, shout out to Jared, I don't know how to say his last name, Goetz. Shout out to Jared Goetz. You know who you are. I'm really sorry that I'm butchering your last name if you see this. He DM'd us because he was like, I think at one point he had the second largest Shopify store. And I didn't know this at the time, but he had the second largest Shopify store behind Kylie Jenner.
Oh, wow.
And so he was like a really early pioneer of like drop shipping viral products on social media. And so he reached out to our page to promote this product called, oh man.
Is it the...
No, he came to us in like early 2016, I want to say, or like mid 2016 from the page to promote Dumbo Lounge Sack is what it was called.
I don't know. I don't think I know what that is.
It was like this product where you like held it by this end and you filled it with air and you rolled it up and clipped it and it became like a floating hammock type of thing.
Okay,
I'm sure you've seen it.
I feel like it's kind of in that Snuggie category. Is it in like that Snuggie category with like the infomercials?
I'm sure it became an infomercial, but like the way he did it wasn't as an infomercial. It was like a viral video of like somebody standing on the beach and they like held open this thing. It filled up with air. They rolled it up, clipped it, and then just like hopped into it, And so he like reached out, and then he was one of the earliest people that I was like, by the way, I saw you got posted on this page. I just wanted to let you know I can help you get on these pages. And he was like, really? And so I got on a phone call with him, and we would do like, he was the first person to ever send us, I think, over $1,000. He sent us like $1,300, like $1,500. It was like supposed to be $1,000, and he was like, you know what? I'm going to send you $1,500.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, oh, okay, like I'm like a kid.
Yeah.
But he, apparently I was convincing enough on the phone and talking to him that he felt that we were a good stewardess of his capital, and he did a lot of he did a lot of promotion with us, for probably a year. And then I think he phased out of the product and moved into something different. And it didn't work, or, over the years we stopped doing, we did like a little bit of work for him over the years, but he was like really that early person that kind of like gave us our jump start to like say, okay, we can actually do this. And from that, we would promote all kinds of random products, like every random product you can imagine. We were like helping these companies promote in some capacity. And that led us to just meet a lot of really interesting people. I met my old roommate TJ in one of these Kick group chats.
Okay.
When I lived in LA, I lived with a guy named TJ who was like super cool dude. And I met him in a Kick group chat because him and a girl named Frankie were buying for a bunch of people. They worked at a company called Elevator Studio at the time, which I still do work with today. Shout out to Elevator. Shout out to Dan Fleischman. Cool people. But I've been working with them for, I don't know, 5-6 years now.
And that's what brought you out to LA business?
My friend TJ called me one day. I'll get there. But my friend TJ called me one day and was just like, hey, do you know anybody that like needs a place in LA? Like I have a room that's open. And I was like, I have nothing. I'm not doing anything here. I have a little money saved up. Like I'll move to LA.
There you go.
And it was, I just moved to LA, lived in the apartment for like 4 months. And then I was like ready to come home.
Yeah.
And then I just came home. What were we talking about? Oh, early days of early days of the pages. So anyways, these social media pages were like pretty, new, and we were just like randomly getting these deals and like kind of figuring it out as we went along and figuring out what the right type of like standards were and what you had to do. And that led us to, because we had the fishing page, there was something called the Bassmaster Classic
Oh,
coming up in Oklahoma. And me, Bailey, and Shaw, who was like our friend at the time, who was like working with us on these businesses, very early on, we decided to just get in the car and drive to Oklahoma to this Bassmaster Classic. And it was just like a fishing tournament. And there was a big trade show there every year. And so we just went to this trade show and just like kind of wandered around and talked to people. And we met a guy named Eric who works at Toughline. I don't think he works there anymore. I think he still works at Western Filament though. We just showed up to this random fishing convention and started talking to people. And we happened to run into this guy, Eric, that this was like his first convention ever. He was like a young dude straight out of college working at this like big company for marketing. And he like literally graduated college like 3 days before the trade show.
oh wow.
And he like already got the job and like was like working with this company. And so we just like kind of talked to him about social media, and he like saw the vision, was young and hungry, like trying to prove to his bosses, like, look, there's this new thing we could do as social media, whatever. And we went there, we talked to him, we showed him our page and like the other page, and he was like in love with it. And then we drove the 24 hours back home, like 2 days later or whatever.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And then, we met a bunch of people there, but it wasn't like an industry show. So we learned then there's two types of trade shows. There's industry trade shows and then just like general public trade shows, where like this one was more of a general public trade show where you could go and you could buy things and you do that kind of stuff. And it was more to like
a lot of like entertaining, a little
more
bit
entertaining,
too, and then
more
just kind
marketing
of like,
and less where like an industry trade show like ICAST,
Very
if you're talking in
business.
the fishing space, you have to like you go there and the only people that are at the booths are like the buyers, the marketing people, like it's a big event. All of the executives are there, and that's where like all of the buying gets done. And so we went to this fishing trade show, and when we came back, we like followed up, got on a phone call with him and his bosses and like explained to them social media. And like in the meantime, we did like a small test for them for free. We were just like, here, we'll show you how it works. So he could go back to his bosses and be like, look, these guys did this.
How would you run a test?
We had all the relationships with the pages. So you
would just do just like a very simple, small promo.
Take the video, take the photo, whatever it is, make it look like a social media, something that would fit on social media at that time. And then either pay to have it posted on those pages or do like a shout out for shout out, and they would post it. And at that time, in 2016, 2017, you could make a post on one of these big Instagram accounts and it would get tons of views.
Immediate reaction.
I shouldn't say it would get tons of views. It wouldn't get crazy views, but the engagement that came from it, significantly higher.
It was real, no bots.
It was real, no bots. So like you would do like a 2-hour post and you would gain like a couple hundred followers. Or like when we were doing shout out for shout outs, like depending on how big the page was, there were days where we were growing those pages like 15, 20,000 followers
I
a
remember
day.
seeing those notifications come in when you just dump in a couple hashtags, doing that. And like just when the algorithm wasn't so tainted with either just like sales and freaking TikToks.
Yeah, for real. When we started, I think like videos just came out. Like
to compete with Vine. Yeah,
exactly. And so, like at the time you could post and you could get a shout out from 100,000 follower page and gain 1,000 followers or gain 200 followers or something like that. So to these brands that had 1,000 followers, maybe, or 400 followers or 300 followers, we would talk to them. We had like a whole system that we set up. I'll explain it. We would go to these trade shows. So like with Toughline, for example, we went to the trade show and we would basically say, hey, we're going to do this, test for you completely free just to show you how it works. And we would get them posted on a couple pages and then we'd go back and show them, hey, it got, 25, 30,000 views and you guys gained 300 followers yesterday. That's 150% what you currently have on Instagram. And they're all real. Look through all of them. You could talk to all of them. Like everybody's real.
I bet they love hearing those numbers.
They were blown away. And so we left. And when we got back, we had a phone call with this guy like right away. And he pitched us to his higher ups and we sold him on a $4,000 campaign.
Ooh-wee.
And I'm like, we can have one phone call with somebody and they'll just wire us or send us a check at the time, $4,000. That doesn't make any sense. Like, that's not how this works, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how it kind of evolved into a marketing business. And then so with the fishing companies, we would go to there was a trade show in Orlando called iCast. Oh, that was almost dangerous.
Oh, dude, I almost dropped my phone.
Oh, dude. And chill, doggy.
As I dropped my phone.
And yeah, we would go to this fishing trade show in Orlando every year and just roll up to these random companies, like go lane by lane, talk to everybody.
And kind of do the same system a
Same
little
system.
bit. Yeah.
Once we saw that system worked, we would just go there. And so like it would cost us probably like $1,000 or more to go to this trade show, stay up there for 2 days, get entrance into it, whatever. And we would end up leaving with like a ton of contacts, a ton of people that we could talk to. And that's how we got like our earliest clients and our earliest, like our earliest deals, because we were going there, providing the work entirely for free. So like what we would do is, this was like a 3-day trade show. We'd go there day one, talk to X amount of companies, talk to the marketing people, explain to them what we do and how we're going to do it.
Do you feel like doing that, like really, when all that started coming together, do you feel like that really legitimized your business and like you and like who you are and like your relationship into marketing? Like the fact that these big returns were coming in and the fact that this system that you did was working?
Yeah, I mean, it felt really cool.
Yeah.
It was really cool to be able to like move that needle for them. And, still to this day have that kind of like ability to help them and help them get viewership and help them get more sales and help them get, more just engagement and more, like that overall social presence. It's cool once you figure it out. And so we would, go to these trade shows. We'd meet them on day one. We'd talk to whoever it was, marketing, whatever, if they said, come back and talk to the marketing person tomorrow. But we'd basically set up it was like a 3-day, 2-night thing. Day one, we'd set it up, talk to all of the people that we wanted to talk to. We'd go back to the hotel room and stay there from, like 6 to 9, 10 p.m. and just grind out like getting all of the people that we talked to shout outs. We'd probably spend like, $50 to $100 per person. But you do that for like 6, 7, 8 brands, it racks up really quick. Or we'd do like shout out for shout out.
Yeah.
Whatever we could do to get these companies up, we would get them up. And then we would record all of the results. And then when we'd go back to the trade show the next day to talk to more companies, we would go back to those brands and say, hey, can I speak to so-and-so? And we'd be like, oh, did you notice yesterday you gained 300 followers? And they're like, holy shit. Yeah, I did. And we're like, yeah, we did that. Here, look. So we got you posted on this page, this page, this page. And yeah, that's how you gain them. And this is how many views you got. We put a link in their bio, or we put a link here. You got this many link clicks. And they'd be like, how do we do more of this? And so that's how we like got some of these early fishing clients, and we would just like rinse and repeat the next day. And we got a lot of early business contacts and a lot of early, business clients from that, and confidence. And that gave us the ability to go to other companies and say, we did this for this company. We could do it for you guys, or we could do something similar. And that's how the marketing thing has kind of marketing thing. That's how the marketing company, Shout Me Out Marketing Agency. You see how like loose, I forget sometimes, like
Everything's been a happy accident.
Yeah, for real. But yeah, that's how Shout Me Out kind of started, from a random page, like accident, to where it is now, where we're just kind of helping. I mean, at this point, we've helped hundreds of different companies. Like you said, in my lovely intro, everything from like small startups to publicly traded, and it's wild.
So what are some of the small ones, and what are some of the big ones? Are like any commonly known names?
I mean, so one of the companies that we got from those early trade shows was like Sportsman's Warehouse, which was like a publicly traded company that's kind of like Dick's Sporting Goods. We've worked with ClickUp. They're not publicly traded, but they're a very large company. For Loco. Some like we did a lot of work with like personal brands early on. Gary V, Ty Lopez, Grant Cardone.
Oh, sweet.
Vegas Dave, oddly enough, who's like not the best guy. Dan Locke, who's not also the best guy. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but it's fine.
But it's crazy. So you were even doing the personal branding stuff for entrepreneurs before it was
Sort
like
of.
I feel like the last 2 years personal branding has just exploded.
Yeah. And these guys were like the pioneers, like Ty Lopez, Gary V, Andy Frisella. We did like a little bit of work for Jay Shetty and Lewis Howes. You just like these random people, and they all just came through. Like, we had the ability to get them attention. They wanted attention and followers, and we were just kind of like that gap. Like, we were never in full transparency. We were never in direct contact with any of these people. These were other agencies. So this is also kind of how I found my lane of like helping agencies, and why I kind of coined the term as like, we're the secret weapon, because agencies that were getting paid a lot of money, like 50, 100,
They're the professional middleman.
100%. They would be getting paid $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 a month to run certain campaigns, and they would not know how to do this. They had no idea. Like these people wanted growth and they wanted attention and they wanted all this stuff, but the agencies that they were actually paying to do it just kind of bullshitted them through and was like, yeah, of course we can get you all this, you know, and they would just kind of figure it out. And what I would do is I would pick up on, oh, I noticed this post from Ty Lopez on this page, or I noticed this post from Ty Lopez on this page. And because at that time, so like that's where things kind of like fast forward, we were not only managing our page, but we were managing like a suite of other pages. So we managed at one point like 14 million followers in total.
Okay.
For a handful of different pages. Or like a couple different people. We were like managing their pages and taking a percent of the ad revenue because we were helping them generate more sales.
That's a pretty big responsibility when you
It was a lot of responsibility.
When you think about that. Do you ever have any sort of anxiety or just kind of a little bit of panic
Yeah,
where it's
all the
like,
time.
what if this happened and this happens?
Oh yeah, I mean, what if it gets hacked and
Yeah.
they blame it on me and they get, you know, they come after me? What if I get hacked because somebody finds out that I run this page and they, you know, I think I was at the time like, you know, I'm worried about getting SIM swapped or, you know, like these different things that I'm like worried about, you know, happening. And it, one of the pages that we were running, I think got disabled, something like that. And he was basically like, you know, the guy we were managing like 3 of his pages, Yogi was his name. And he was basically like, you know, sorry, it's a liability. I can't do it. And I was like, okay, like no problem.
Yeah.
And so like he cut us off with that one because it got disabled. You know, there's nothing we could do about it. And then we were managing another group of pages for somebody. And yeah, that's what gave us, you know, a little bit more access to be able to reach out to. So what I would do is I would find the person. So like I would reverse engineer everything. I'd see that Ty Lopez was getting posted on a similar page. And I was like, that's not by accident.
Yeah.
I know it's not by accident. Now I have to find the person that's doing the buying for Ty Lopez. And so then I would, I don't know, figure out a way to find them. And I would find them and they were these like really obscure people. And I knew, oh, if they're buying from this page, they're probably using Kick or they're probably using this or they're probably. And so I would ask around, hey, do you know who's buying for, you know, Ty Lopez or do you know who's buying for this person? Because it was a tight-knit community and everybody wanted to see each other win. So it's like if they were getting paid for ads, they know that they, you know, could help their fellow page owner out and get them some ads and get them some ad revenue. But they weren't doing the math of I can talk to the person that's running Ty Lopez and say, I can get you a better deal on all of these pages and on my pages and, you know, source new ones for you.
Right.
And so like, for example, with Ty Lopez specifically, because I keep using him as the example, he came from an agency was running, I would see his posts from somebody. I reverse engineered my way to figure out the contact for that person, which was through Kick. And I would talk to that person, which I think at the time was Frankie, this girl named Frankie. And I would just like chat with her and I'd be like, hey, I can help you get more pages. I can help you get this. And her job was to literally find pages. She wasn't getting a commission on anything. She was getting paid as an employee to like find pages and deliver the ad budget. And so to her, I came to her and I said, hey, I can get you on these pages. And she was like, okay, let me run it by my, you know, supervisor, my boss or whatever. She would submit it to them and they'd say, yep, sure, we can send you $500 to get on these pages. And it kind of like slowly ramped up because I would be like a tenth of her budget for the day or, you know, 5% of her budget for the day. And she would kind of test the waters. And then it became like a daily thing where it like ramped up and ramped up and ramped up. And it was at like one point, you know, like $5,000, $10,000 per day to like run these campaigns.
Yeah.
And, or like various campaigns. Sometimes they were running multiple at once. And we would just like, all she had to do was they would send us the money and she could just clock out of work for the rest of the day, not have to do anything because we were doing it all.
Yeah.
We did that for a lot of people, you know? And so that's how we kind of got the understanding of working with agencies and being that kind of back end support team for the agencies because none of them, you know, were really doing this. Now, a lot of people are doing social media.
That's what I was going to bring up. I mean, fast forward to today with the growth and explosion of influencers and your UGC.
User-generated content.
Yeah. So with the growth,
influencers and UGC, I think it's time to present today's unofficial sponsor, Prime. Prime, if you're watching this is not actually a sponsored ad, but we would like it to be. Today, I'm going to be trying the Ice Pop Prime, and Jacob is going to be trying the
Tropical Punch.
Tropical Punch.
Here we go.
Dink it. Wait, you got to dink it and sink it. You ever seen? Oh man, I should have done that. Oh, it's nice.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers. Oh, it's pretty good. I've had that flavor. It's all right.
It's not bad. Yours good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. Tastes like an ice pop. Oh, that's crazy, dude.
Is that what it's called? Oh my god. Oh wow. Prime.
Kava. Drinkprime.com. Available at Walmart.
So speaking of something like Prime and taking kind of the growth of digital media and social media from what it was and where you were to today. So how does like influencers play a part into your business?
Almost entirely. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we were raised up from, was like the influencer thing.
Before it even came like coined as something.
Yeah, before it became coined as something. And now we have phenomenal relationships with influencers of all sizes, pages of all sizes, miscellaneous celebrities or internet celebrities. And yeah, it plays a big part. I mean, that's a lot of what people know us for. A lot of what other companies come to us for is for the influencer side of things. Now more so like the user-generated content side of things. And just like influencers as a whole, when they're coming up with their influencer strategy, we help them with the strategy side of things. More recently, we help them with like the video editing side of things. It's like kind of everything surrounding influencers is really our thing.
So even taking somebody like Logan Paul and KSI, what they've done with Prime,
Sponsored by Prime.
how just two influencers with an idea that backed up a brand and did everything right with a brand as far as like big vibrant colors, just text that you can see from outer space.
Yeah.
Kind of the minimalistic approach too, which is kind of trendy, but it's in its own way. And they've kind of found a market kind of like similar to you, just relating it to you with kind of with the skate wax. You kind of found your market. But do you kind of sell product for businesses using kind of influencer marketing, or is it more just kind of like promoting the influencer a little bit?
It's both. I mean, influencer marketing, the landscape of influencer marketing has changed a lot. In the early days, it used to be any of the influencers that you used, if you gave them a product, it was almost guaranteed that they'd get some sort of sales or at least break even. Hopefully profit, but at least break even, and you'd get some social media traction. Now you have to be more, you have to use influencers more tactically. It's not as simple as take this product, put it in front of their audience, and their audience is going to buy it. Even with people that have super devout followings, a lot of people have huge numbers of followings on TikTok and they get a ton of engagement. A lot of people like their stuff. A lot of people aren't buying from them. So somebody like KSI, like you mentioned, or Logan Paul, they've had a lot of brand equity over the years. They've had a lot of Prime got me burping. No, Prime has, or like KSI and Logan Paul have really built something different, similar to like what Mr. Beast is doing with Feastables, or like what a lot of these people are doing. But Full Send is doing with
Happy Dad. Yeah,
they're doing phenomenally. And it's because they built this. I think it has to do with like somewhat of a delayed. It's not really delayed gratification because they've been selling things this whole time, but I think it has something to do with
it's been gradual a little bit because I mean I followed Nelk for a while from just making the prank from making the prank videos. Like one of my favorite videos they did was it's so dumb when
I already know what it is. Wait, don't say it. Can I say it?
Yeah.
The Coke in the trunk prank.
Oh, that's classic. But no, I'm talking like even earlier on when they would go to like these soccer games and just take the soccer balls in the middle of the game and run away with them.
I remember that.
Dude, they were so funny because they were just so ridiculous. But they were doing the pranks and they're kind of building their audience. And then when they kind of had, I call it the Supreme model, where they have the limited run of shirts, sell them out and create the hype with it. But I mean, kind of going back to my question, because now I feel like not everybody, that's a generalization, but I feel like some people that tap into the internet space either want to be an influencer, but don't really know what they're influencing or what kind of like their foundation is. And then there's other people who have built a foundation for themselves too, and then they just try to find through that of like what they want to use for the influence. So like kind of related with SMO, when you're uplifting influencers, is it more just kind of like platforming an influencer to kind of help them grow their brand, or it's kind of using an influencer tactically that matches it up with a company that you're trying to?
That's the majority of what we do.
Okay.
So from an influencer and brand partnership, we're more on the end of helping brands integrate with influencers. Now, through that, we have great relationship with influencers because when we call them, it means they're getting money.
Yeah.
So they don't mind answering our calls or texts. But it's, yeah, we're more focused on uplifting the brand through positive partnership with creators. So connecting brand X with a creator that matches their, vision, or a creator that matches their demographic, and having them make a good piece of content together that could be used in ads or used in some sort of promotion or a post on their page. Or let's say it's like a large company that wants additional awareness around a unique product or a unique incentive in a big box store or in something like that, where they just want that mass attention, or for a movie or for film, or I'm sorry, a movie or television. We'll do like mass awareness campaigns with like maybe personal influencers or big meme and theme pages, where you can get massive awareness from these pages. And a movie, a movie promotion company, or somebody that produces television shows, or the people that do the marketing behind these, they need additional exposure, and they need it in front of as many people as possible. So for somebody like that, like you can make a funny meme campaign, or you can make a funny, get an influencer to make a funny video and spread it everywhere. And so we're really more focused on taking a cool brand or a cool product or a cool service or, something interesting, and pairing it with creators across different platforms that match the brand.
Speaking of kind of memes, is that what you kind of enjoy a little bit more doing? Just like creating a meme that does well?
Yeah, I like that. I'm an internet kid.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that simple. I'm an internet kid. I grew up, early days of the internet.
The Rage comics, you remember those?
No.
Oh, they were just like the troll face, but like they're in black and white, just like, and you kind of look back and like those were like early memes.
I guess I know the troll face, but I don't remember.
They're called.
I don't remember them being called Rage comics, but maybe I just forgot.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I remember those early days of, those types of like crude memes. And so I always just kind of grew up with that internet culture. And it was like, I joke around a lot with the memes because that's what like a lot of people know me for, is because like early days, I like if somebody needed posts somewhere, like, I just had a bunch of meme pages or a bunch of like theme pages. Like it wasn't always personal creators. It was more like early on pages around a certain genre of stuff. So like if you were, for example, fishing props, the fishing page wasn't, oh, I heard that gulp on the headphones.
Oh, dude.
Oh, man.
Man, Prime got me good.
It wasn't always about, like we weren't posting, like it wasn't Sal and Bailey going fishing. It was, look at this goofball in North Dakota that fell into the ice walleye fishing, or look at this guy that caught this world record bass, or and it was just generally around fishing.
Right.
And that was kind of like all of the earliest pages that we worked with were generally around something, or memes about a certain thing, or like there was one called like cops videos that we ran, and it was like we never posted anything violent or bloody or like political, but it was like a cop doing something nice, or a cop doing something funny, or like some sort of interaction with the police that was like non-violent, or like random things like that. Or we had a country page that we would just post jokes, like country memes, and so we just kind of became like memes became like our thing. And even still today, like,
I was going to even say still today with like just how memes, the amount of undivided attention that you kind of just gravitate towards it too. So you see big public company, we said before, like Slim Jim, that kind of hops on even the fast food. And speaking of fast food, I saw that McDonald's brought back adult Happy Meals.
They sure did, yeah.
And I saw the video that you made about it.
I wonder if you may be able to see it behind us.
Maybe, yeah. But
maybe able to see the adult Happy Meal like right there or something.
But yes, I mean, you made a video kind of talking about it, relating to meme culture. Then Wall Street Journal reached out to you.
Yeah, totally random. I don't know where they got me from. I should have asked. Shout out to the reporter that hit me up. Yeah, I made that video, and somebody DM'd me and was like, hey, Sal, my name's so-and-so, insert name here, from the Wall Street Journal. I'm making a piece about the adult Happy Meal. Do you have any interest in giving comment on it? And I was like, sure. Like, that'd be cool. That's like most interesting thing that's happened to me all month. Like,
That's wild.
I'm down. And he just hit me up, and I did a phone call with him, and I had, man, what an article. No, it was a great article. Jacob,
Yeah.
if you're watching this, it was a phenomenal article. But yeah, I had like 2 lines.
Just line. Okay, cool.
If you Google Salvatore Rosenblatt, WSJ, first thing that comes up. No big deal. No big deal, bro. Come on. What's up? No, but it was really cool. I enjoy that kind of stuff. I enjoy, like, it's nice to make a piece of content that gets noticed by somebody.
Yeah.
That they're like, oh, I want to, say something about this, or I want to learn more about your insight on this.
Yeah.
Or I want to learn more about your viewpoint on this. So that was pretty cool. Yeah.
That's pretty dope. So how has, the internet's changed so much from even like just the growth of influencers and where we are right now with kind of how that's marketing. Where do you see it going from now? I mean, with all the conversations of NFTs and crypto, and then that crashing and not being a thing, and then the meta, then the universe, and Elon Musk buying Twitter.
You ever heard of Ready Player One?
Did they talk about it in The Office?
In my office?
Oh,
In the show The Office?
yes, they showed that. We are in your office, by the way. It's lovely.
Oh, yes.
You have the AC on perfect.
Oh, you're good?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
a
good,
little
yeah.
warm. I was thinking about turning it on, dropping it a little bit. We had it.
Do go for it, man. I mean, but
we'll
now
see.
we do it later.
Yeah.
Drink more Prime.
More Prime. Oh, sorry, gotta hydrate. What was the question? Oh, I know we're
Do you think you're creative?
drink Prime. Get them.
Where do you see kind of the internet climate going? Or I should say more in the social media realm. How we've seen
I think I see.
Yeah.
I'll answer the question that you asked before that I forgot. I really I made a joke about Ready Player One, not actually Ready Player One. I really think that the state of the internet is good and bad. It's a little toxic from time to time more lately, and I think that just comes with different political climates and different, activist climates and just different things in general. I think the internet is a very good tool. I think it should be used carefully because in no point in history have we ever had this much access to information, and at no point in history have we ever given enough people, and has this many people had a hill to stand on top of and scream things at people.
Or even us being this connected with
Never
each
been
other,
this,
all around the world.
We've never been more connected with other people in the world, but we've also never been more disconnected with other people in the world. Because before social media and, I don't want to say pre the internet, but I guess really pre the internet, it was the people that you knew in your neighborhood, the people that you talked to, and you had face-to-face interactions with them. You didn't learn what Aunt Becky did 2 weekends ago on Facebook when she came over for family dinner on Sunday. You learned about what Aunt Becky did, and that was it. People weren't commenting on Aunt Becky's thighs, or as a kid, they weren't the school bully wasn't commenting on your figure or on your, whatever, on your Instagram. They were, they'd have to say it to you in person. Then when you left, you were gone. But now there's cyberbullying and that kind of stuff. But to kind of also answer your question, where do I think the internet is going as far as like crypto, Web3, NFT, memes, all that kind of stuff? It's all just technology. Honestly, it's at the end of the day, it's like all just a technological piece. Just like the internet was a fad, or just like, I think that there's a time where all of this will make sense. And I think that we will use NFTs and crypto and blockchain and all of that stuff in our daily life over the next, 10 plus years or so, because it's such phenomenal technology. I think we'll use it, but I don't think I don't think it'll be called what it's called now. I don't think it'll be called metaverse and blockchain, and it'll just be the things that we use.
Right.
Like the example that I always give is like when you go on, do you play video games?
A little bit.
Which games?
I don't play video games.
I don't play video games either. He just lied on camera. No, I don't play video games either. But I'll give you the example, which I'm sure.
Actually, not you. Super Smash Bros. I could school.
Okay.
I could spank anybody,
Damn, I'll bring the Switch sometime.
dude.
I love Super
Anytime,
Smash
any
Bros.
place. Mario and Wii
Yep.
Fit Trainer.
I have I have Super Smash Bros for the Switch. I have Mario Kart 8 for the Switch, and they have like a Switch Sports now, like Wii Sports. Oh, so fun. I barely ever play, but like it's fun.
So yeah, yes, I do play video games because
Cool.
I will smack anybody. Challenge accepted. I'm throwing it out there, but but yeah,
Okay, so to kind of give you an example of like the metaverse and Web3 and crypto and blockchain, like people play Fortnite all the time, or people play Call of Duty all the time, or people play PUBG or Minecraft. People play these different games all the time. So like, for example, if you're playing Fortnite, you can buy a skin, you can buy new guns, you can buy different maps. I think, there's different things that you can buy. And the only difference is right now, you can't take that outside of Fortnite. So anything that you do on Fortnite is connected within that, or anything that you do on Minecraft is within that. Where blockchain or Web3 or crypto and NFTs, where all that stuff comes into actual real world use case, is when you can buy what was the example that I gave the other day? You can buy perfect example. You like Super Smash Bros.
oh yeah,
Okay, cool. You could go into Super Smash Bros. And you could get Link, or you could get I forgot his name, the dude with the rocket arms. Samus, I think his name is. Anyways, you could go onto Super Smash Bros. And you could buy whatever game you go into Super Smash Bros. And buy whatever person you want, whatever character you want. But let's say you switch over and you're like, I want to go play Fortnite. You could play Fortnite as Pikachu. Or
and bring
it from there over, because it's all on. If it's all on the same,
bring that purchased item from Super Smash game, and if I want to go to Fortnite, I'm actually able to bring Pikachu.
Yes,
over.
That's where that stuff kind of will start to blend together, because if Fortnite is run on a blockchain that matches up with Super Smash Bros. Blockchain, where just like in Fortnite, you could buy a skin, or you could buy new guns or whatever, but that can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
If it's all connected on one chain, on one blockchain, Ethereum, Polygon, Solana, you could, in theory, open up, Super Smash Bros. And then you could take your Pikachu from your Super Smash Bros., toss it into your wallet, into your crypto wallet, go back in, or, what I was getting at with this is, I'm making it sound more complicated as it is. Over the next 5 to 10 years, everything involved in Web3, NFTs, crypto, metaverse, it will all become seamless integrations in your life. Like the tickets that you buy for a concert,
Right.
will just they will be NFTs. They will be digital validation that this ticket is authentic, and like you won't be purchasing it thinking, "Oh, I'm buying this NFT." It will just, and like the crypto will just be the same thing as like, "Oh, my Visa and MasterCard." It will just be your crypto.
It's almost it's funny because when I used to go to the gym, LA Fitness, and like those little fobs when you boom boom boom, one of the gyms stopped giving them out. They're like, you have to download the app. We don't physically give those out anymore. So you have the digital identification for you to kind of go in, so that not only. And then I remember one person, I overheard the person behind me is like, I don't like using my phone. I was like, she's like, we don't have any in.
There's no other option.
Like, they're saying like corporate.
There's no other option.
Yeah,
just like when you go to certain places, you can only tap to pay.
Yeah,
There's certain places you can only tap to pay, or like when chips weren't a thing, or like that tech evolves, and it's not like you're not looking at the chip technology of I used to swipe my card. You just boop.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different technology. It's a completely different thing than like the magnet strip, but you don't think anything of it.
Yeah.
So that's where crypto,
because it's just integrated into
it will just be
lifestyle.
entirely integrated into everything that you do. So like, for example, with the gym pass, that gym pass will become an NFT. There will be a smart contract right now there's a contract between you and LA Fitness. You sign that contract. That means that you have access to this gym for this amount of time. The only thing that means is that your card has access to go in.
Yeah.
And it's all through either like some sort of automated system or some manual system, right? If that was on the blockchain, that would be essentially an NFT, because it would just be digital authentication, where if you signed this contract, it's like signing a smart contract, which is like in crypto, like on the Ethereum blockchain or other blockchains, there's these things called smart contracts. It would be like you signing a smart contract with them that says, from this date to this date, I pay this much per month. This much gets withdrawn from my account. And that gives me access to this screen. When I open up my phone for the LA Fitness app, it pulls up this screen. But when you stop paying for it and you go to open up the app, that screen doesn't load anymore because you don't own the NFT anymore.
And do you think social media is going to really adapt all these things into their platform, onto their platform?
Yeah.
And some sort of, okay,
100%.
because
They already are.
Yeah, you're right. They already are.
What's the difference? What is the difference between when you, I don't know, do Facebook advertising or Google advertising?
Yeah.
What's the difference that's the thing is like we've made it so complicated where it's like Web3, crypto, NFTs, and it's got to be this like whole separate thing that these like, bunch of nerds just like circle jerk themselves about. Sorry to call some people out, but it really is just cool tech. But like they over romanticize it, and so much negativity has come from it because of people scamming and doing things like that, that like it's looked at as kind of gimmicky when in reality the technology is sick. Like the concept of the technology is cool because it keeps a forever digital record of as long as that blockchain exists, it will keep a forever digital record of everything from start to finish. So like,
do you feel like it's too early right now?
Yeah, it's absolutely too early. But I learned about Bitcoin, like I learned about crypto, and the first one that I learned about was Bitcoin, I think in 2014, something like that. I wish I would have bought it. But I learned about it in like 2014. My friend Brandon Rosado, shout out to Brandon Rosado, absolute legend, pioneer of very, very interesting person.
The GOAT.
You should get Brandon Rosado on your podcast.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, he's a cool dude. He told me about Bitcoin in like Miss Kane's class, in my TV Pro class, and showed me it. And like I tried to convince my parents to buy it for me, and they were like, "Digital technology makes no sense. This is all a gimmick." You know, it must have been like sophomore year because my dad was still alive. So like that's how I remember him being like, "This is stupid," you know. And it just like I just think like it's always been early. It will always be like even the internet now is early to what the internet will be.
It's crazy because even look at YouTube. YouTube's been around for like over 10 years, a little bit. And that's still pretty new.
Brand new.
It
doesn't even,
look at a 10-year-old.
It doesn't even make sense. Yeah, like when I was a kid and when you were a kid, we still had like flip phones and like you couldn't go on the internet and you had minutes and like
oh my gosh, it was like $2.99 for a ringtone that sounded like ass.
Baby, you know that I missed you.
Kiss me through the phone.
Kiss me through the phone.
Baby, are you down, 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 down? Yeah.
Shout out to Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy, the first to ever do it. First meme. Soldier Boy really was like a super early meme.
Oh my god, he was
Soldier
a pioneer.
Boy is a pioneer of everything. But I just think I'm fascinated by crypto and Web3 and blockchain and all that. You know, that kind of ecosphere of that world of things.
Yeah.
But it's still really early, and I think like the people that are into it will make a lot of money in it. I think that there's a lot of really interesting things that you could do to it. Like you're a musician, it really benefits, it benefits musicians
I
really well.
I love the whole concept. I'm still trying to just understand and learn about it and just see if I can incorporate it. I mean, kind of even what you're saying, if I'm able to incorporate it into like my life.
It will integrate into, when it becomes mass adopted, it will integrate into your usage. And it won't be called the things that you know it of now. They'll just be products.
Right.
You will go to use, like, look at PayPal. PayPal was like revolutionary. You could send money from you to me through an email. Like that was revolutionary, but they didn't highlight the technology that was there. They just said, you can send money from me to you. It's the same thing with crypto.
Yeah.
Just integrate into our regular lives. It'll become a normal thing, and we won't think of it as a separate piece of tech. It'll just be the thing that we use. Like when you go to, so what I was getting at for you, I'm fascinated by it, and I could go on about it for hours. So I don't want to do that on this podcast, but it'll be really cool for you as a musician because you write, record, and produce like all of your own music. So it's
not produced, but
okay. So you work with a producer?
Yeah, I work with producers.
Okay, and this may be an intimate question, but if you're working with that producer, does he get a piece of any future royalties? Or do you pay him that one time? I guess you pay him a one-time fee.
Pay him a one-time fee,
mix and produce,
depending on the level of the relationship and stuff too as well. But I mean, yeah,
Gotcha. So for musicians that are, I feel like it's very prevalent in like the rap industry where like, a rapper signed to a big label comes out with a big song and he puts out this song and it blows up. It goes crazy. And him and his producer and his manager and his label, they all had this agreement in place beforehand. But the label got the money and they're not paying the producer. The artist is only getting paid a quarter of what he's saying he's being paid, all that stuff. All the horror stories that you hear. If this was on a smart contract, which is like the contract system for the blockchain, there would never be and sorry to run that back. If that agreement was on the blockchain and that was related to an NFT or whatever, a non-fungible token is all an NFT is. That was the album, the audio files. That audio file, it would basically say when somebody streams this audio file, it costs this much ETH or whatever it is. It costs this much for you to stream this audio file. You stream that audio file. The only way for you to stream it is for that money to be fractionally withdrawn out of your account. And then immediately once that person pays for that listen or that album or for, their monthly subscription to Blockchainify or whatever, I just made that up. It would automatically pay you as the artist the exact split that you're supposed to get. It would automatically pay the label their exact split, the producer their exact split, the manager. It's not even that it's clear. Once it's locked in place, it stays in place
for perpetuity
as long as you set it to.
Yeah.
So like you could set it in perpetuity. You could set it for 10 days. You could set it in the example of like your gym membership. You could set it. They could say you work on a 1-year thing. So you own this non-fungible token or you're permitted to use this non-fungible token for X amount of time. And the way that people were exploiting it with NFTs was they were creating like a scarcity model to it. So it'd be like the equivalent of if LA Fitness said to you, or like put out an email or put out a text or put out something and said, we're only selling 500 LA Fitness gym memberships this year. We're only selling 500 LA Fitness gym memberships from right now. And that's it. We're only selling 500 or 10,000 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You would go buy it for $100, for the year or whatever you wanted it to be. You'd buy it for however much it would break down to for the year, $300, $500. So you'd have it for the year or for forever. And when you were done with your gym membership, you would list it on an open marketplace where somebody would say, I want to be a member at LA Fitness. And based on the amount of supply and demand of people wanting to go to LA Fitness or not, is what would dictate that price. Excuse me. So it would dictate that price. So like LA Fitness would sell 10,000 of them. You would have one of them. And then when you were done with LA Fitness and you're like, I'm going to go to a different gym or whatever, instead of just canceling your membership, you would put your LA Fitness membership up for sale. LA Fitness would get some sort of royalty for that, whether it's, I'm sure it'd have to be something crazy because they got to get the money on something like that. But you would list it up for sale and whatever it.
Yeah, but for the sake of an example, since it's going from LA to me and then for me to sell it to somebody else, but since it started from LA will still get the.
Correct. So like with NFTs, if you're buying an NFT, it's usually written in that the original producer of it gets a royalty. So like that's also great for artists.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let's say it's great. Like it's great for artists because let's say,
well, especially now, how many sound bites and just like audio and just like copyright compared to fair
perfect
use.
Example. Yeah.
Has been just kind of so blurred between the lines and just. It's been getting crazy.
Okay, so
what's
like,
fair use,
example,
what's copyright?
Yeah. And this is just me, this is just me playing devil's advocate. I'm fascinated by the tech. Do I think a lot of it's really gimmicky? Yes. I'm looking into the camera because the people got to know. I think 90% of it is very gimmicky. That 10% though is going to be immensely valuable, like immensely. For example, a gimmicky thing is like the "it's corn" trend, right? Yeah. If he copyrighted that clip, that segment as a, whatever, and he owns that, he could license it to people to use it. Or if it was all connected through social media, when somebody goes to use that audio on Instagram, the only way that they can use that officially licensed It's Corn audio from Instagram is if you pay that 10 cents, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Pay that fractional piece. And then Tariq, the It's Corn young man, he gets that 10 cents. It goes directly to him. And then if, let's say, a company wants to license that video and license that audio or video or whatever it is, instead of it being a, written contract of, we license this from you, they would create a smart contract that would say, we're buying this from you for this amount in perpetuity. They would buy that audio. They'd be able to license it out to other people. Maybe they'd take it off the free market and they would only use it as their business slogan or as something random. But then for every time that it gets used, the It's Corn Kid would get a vig on that, or like a piece on that revenue. So it's got like a really good setup for like royalties. The cool thing about smart contracts is you can kind of make them do whatever.
Yeah.
So for like sports memorabilia or like concert memorabilia, like you go see the Rolling Stones or you go see somebody like that, those tickets from like the 1960s are super valuable.
Yeah.
Like that, a real ticket from it. Why, like in 2022, they're all QR codes anyways. Like if they made it some sort of digital collectible, how come in 50 years, if we're not completely nuked off the planet, how come in 50 years those will be available?
Besides the nuking, the future does look pretty bright with NFT.
I think it all looks bright.
I mean, besides the room of opportunity of just like that's how I look. Cause I think Kings of Leon, Kings of Leon were the ones that released an album as an NFT as well.
A couple people have done it.
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg's done it.
Yeah.
It became a thing. I think it's an idea now, and I've said it to people, that a future billion-dollar business, and if I knew how to build the tech and really like cared about doing it, I've said it to a bunch of people. So like, I hope somebody stole it. They'll be a billionaire. And if you're watching this and you took the idea or you're already doing it, just like, if it didn't come from me, I'm proud of you. If it did come from me, like, hook your boy up. I had this idea like when NFTs and crypto kind of first started, or like not NFTs and crypto, those are two different things, but like NFTs, that kind of like weird wave that happened like 2 years ago. When that first started popping up, I was like, dang, this would be a perfect opportunity for somebody to make a streaming platform that is entirely NFT and crypto based, where instead of listing on Spotify, you would list on this platform, and somebody's monthly like you pay your monthly subscription of $10 or whatever it is. That $10 just sits in a balance on the platform where you pay 10, a certain percentage goes directly to the streaming platform, all transparent. Then when you go and stream a song, like if you like to stream Lil Baby or like whatever you like to stream, the fractional piece of crypto that that you put into, your subscription, that one, like if you listen to this artist a lot, it goes to that artist. And then from that artist, all the money that they make from you listening to their music or buying their album or however you do it, then gets split off directly to the people that were involved. Whoever was involved on the project, that takes a percent of the song's revenue.
I could see that being in the future for sure.
And you wouldn't even know.
Definitely.
It's the same. That's what I'm saying. So when you bridge that gap of it being something that you're using every day, like if Spotify worked that way, like you're listed on Spotify, so you would know. But if Spotify worked that way, you would never, you wouldn't know, because it kind of does work that way. But then you can get, because it's on the blockchain, there's no fudging the numbers. Like you can see exactly how many streams there were on the song. And the only way that stream is registered is if somebody paid that 5 cents or 2 cents or whatever, whatever it would normally equate out to. You can see it on the blockchain. They got this. They sold this many albums. Their manager or this wallet made this amount of money. This artist made this amount of money from this song. There would be no more blurred lines. And that removes the problem of my manager got the check and he said that it was $20K, but it was really $150K, and he sent me my $10K, from the split or whatever. Or like, you know what I'm saying? Which you hear happening all the time.
Too much, yeah.
It's a problem where if it was just a platform that already did all of this, automatically without human intervention, there's nothing, like you can't manipulate it. Once that code becomes part of the blockchain, there is no manipulating it. So it's like once that smart contract goes into effect that says my song will be on this platform, or this platform has exclusive use, to list my song for 3 years. This is the cut that they get. This is the cut that we get. That once it's locked in, it will not be opened for that 3 years. So like you have to really commit to these things,
Yeah. Well, damn. I mean, speaking of the future, what's the future for SMO? What do you got going on today or currently?
Well, today, considering it's like 9:00 at night and I've been here since like 8 this morning, I'm gonna go home after this and make some dinner probably for my girlfriend and I, and hang out with my little puppy dogs and go to sleep. And then I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna do it again tomorrow. But as far as the future for SMO, we're just going to continue to try to do more and more cool things. I don't even want to say try. We're just going to continue to do more and more cool things. I've been really enjoying making content for myself and for the business, kind of adjacent to the business.
And the podcast, the SMO show.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay. I was getting there. Yeah. And the SMO show, we have our first episode releasing. I don't know when you're going to be watching this.
It'll probably be out already.
This will?
No.
Okay. So by the time you're watching this, you could head over to youtube.com/SMO show. And click the link and check out our first episode with I just threw an Instagram name. And check out our first episode with Dan Snow, founder of the Snow Agency, creative by Kindred, Rap TV.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is gonna be cool. So the way it's interesting being a millennial and kind of growing up in the internet.
Yes.
But it's just also interesting to me how some people have a different relationship with the internet too. How some people completely use it for consumer and entertainment purposes. Other people have used it for just self-expression and that's it. And other people have used it to connect with family members across the world.
Yep.
But other people have kind of figured out something how to really kind of implement it into their life and make a business and career out of it. So, I mean, that's why with you, how I've seen the way you kind of look at problems and being able to just find solutions for it and just use the creative part of your brain to kind of just figure everything out and just keep moving forward. You have this tenacity and just kind of like a train that just is not off the track yet and just keeps moving forward. Yeah. So for anybody who's actually watched this episode fully through, and if there's anybody out there who wants to start a brand, a business, or just even be on the internet. I mean, I know quarantine and COVID really kind of just people just decide to be an influencer one day, but if someone really wanted to start something for themselves, what's one piece of advice that you'd give them?
Be intentional, have fun, be careful, create more than you consume. Definitely create more than you consume. Don't follow the trends. Well, follow the trends with discretion. Use your own twist. Don't just do it. Don't copy people. And if you do copy people, make your own twist and make it better, or at least try to. And just be safe. The internet's a scary place. There's a lot of weird things on there. There's a lot of wrong information. There's a lot of right information. Look at everything that you're doing on the internet constructively. I think that's the right word. Yeah. And just try to, I don't know. And just try to be better. Use the internet smart and don't get brainwashed. The dude with the Lamborghini that's on TikTok that you see, or the girl with the perfectly skinny waist and big bobs and, nice buns. Those are real people with an exaggerated life. When you look at what you see on social media, on Instagram and on TikTok, it's really easy to think that you need to keep up with the Joneses and need to keep up with this person. And that can create depression and anxiety and stress in your life that is not necessary, because you're better off being your own person and not looking at them and comparing yourself to them. So have fun, be safe, try to turn into a meme.
Where can they find you?
You can find me on Instagram at accomplished. I fucking hate this. You can find me on Instagram at accomplished or LinkedIn at Salvatore Rosenblatt. You can find Jacob and I's podcast, The SMO Show, on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, other places where other places where podcasts exist. SMO Show or The SMO Show. Some fucking guy got our username.
Son of a bitch.
Son of a bitch. His mom's probably a nice lady. It's whatever. Yeah. And if you ever need help with marketing or social media or memes or the internet or, I don't know, just like if you need help with the internet, hit your boy up. Yeah, that's it. You can email me if you want. Sal@smo.marketing. That is SAL@smo.marketing. There is no .com at the end of that, in case you were wondering.
Go have some corn with your girl.
I'm going to go have some corn. Thank you for having me on your podcast, Jacob. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure's mine.
I'm getting pleasure. What's up, dude?
Oh, bro! Dude! Oh, my God.
Chill. All right, I got to get off this pod.
Oh, no.
How long was that?